Hello, this is Rohan and Angela from Token Engineering Academy, and this is a demo video to present a first prototype of RetroPGF GPT, which are LLM agents to support Optimism retroactive public goods funding. Brief introduction. I'm Angela, founder of Token Engineering Academy. We are proud recipients of retroactive public goods funding at Optimism for our education program. And we have been working on something interesting, more in a minute, that we'd like to show you in this demo. First, Rohan, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rohan. I am a data scientist and a token engineer, and I work with block science as a research engineer. Previously, over the last couple of months, we've been working on an open source framework for called cadCAD GPT, which are flexible modular LLM agents, which can be used for different application cases. Initially, we were working on token system simulations, but we realized that these agents can be built for supporting DAO decision making as well. And they can use tools and memories to actually access data analytics kind of solutions for which can be accessed through natural language. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And in this demo video, we show how this would work. We have built a tiny prototype, and we'll show you some use cases, how you could interact with the agents and what results you can expect from RetroPGF GPT. Difficult name. We have equipped these agents with the publicly available data about RetroPGF round 3 outcomes, the voting results, the projects, and the anonymized votes cast in round 3. And we've added a fictional individual badge holder to show how RetroPGF GPT could support badge holders in assessing results. Okay, let's get into it. We start with the first use case. Okay, let's jump to a first use case. Here you see the interface of our RetroPGF GPT. As I said, it's for interacting with human language. So we have an input field to ask questions, and we'll get a response from our GPT. In the first use case, let's show how to analyze data. In our case, round 3 data from Optimism RetroPGF. Okay, good idea to start with is always to check what data our GPT has access to. Let's ask, what data do you have access to? All right, let's take a look. Okay, and the response is an overview on, okay, first we have a CSV file. This is the CSV that is publicly available on Optimism's GitHub, and GPT also gives us a first overview on the dataset and information included. And we have a second Excel file that is also available via the public repository, and it includes all project votes, and it includes a second sheet called My Project Votes. And this is the only information we added on top. This is a data set of a fictional badge holder that includes the votes in this particular person's ballot. And we need this in order to show you how an individual badge holder could compare own votes versus the total outcome. Okay, a great overview. Let's now start analyzing the data. Let's ask some simple questions. Maybe, how many projects took part overall, and how many projects received funding? Okay, and here GPT is analyzing the data. This might take a moment, and we can observe what's going on in this analysis information. And this is actually a component we definitely want to include in a future product. because this information has to be verifiable, auditable. This information must be spot on and correct, and this is a great way to verify it. All right. The answer, a total of 633 projects took part. That's correct. And 501 projects received funding. That's also correct. And you see that we can be very, very unspecific, very general in our questions, not pointing to a particular data source or so. And our GPT is able to interpret. That's great. Okay, let's continue. Maybe let's take a look on the projects that have been most successful in terms of funding. What projects have received the highest funding? All right, GPT is again analyzing. Takes a moment. Project highest funding received. And we'll get a list within the project and how many OPs were assigned to this project. This is amazing. A list of 5. That's cool. Now let's make it a little bit more sophisticated. You probably know that the voting and funding mechanism of RetroPGF is taking the median of all votes. And this creates different results compared to if we would take the average. And we've seen that in the forum, there's some conversation on what's most appropriate. And let's now run this comparison with our GPT. All right, let's start with creating a list. Please create a list with the 10 projects. Let's start with received most funding, the highest funding. Okay. Again, GPT is analyzing the data in the background. And now let's see what we get. Here's a list of 10 projects. Okay, it again starts with the same. That's a good signal. And same amounts, also perfect. And now we have the 10 most successful projects. That's great. Now let's say we take these most successful projects and now first find out the median. Oh, take these projects and give me the median for all these projects. Okay. Okay, the median funding amount for the... Okay, this is not what we wanted to get. Let's try again. Okay, go over this list of 10 projects and find me the median result per project. Because we don't want to have the median funding amount across the projects, which could be also an interesting information. We want to get the median results per project. Okay, each of the top 10 projects. Correct. GPT does not only give the median amount, it also gives the number of ballots this project was included. Nice. It's an interesting information, even though we like to focus on the median amount. Okay, perfect. Let's finish it up. Okay. Perfect. Median funding amount allocated to each project based on bullets received. Okay, good. Now, let's get the average of votings per project. So compare the outcome if we would have taken the average amount of votes and the median amount, which then led to the actual funding. Okay, let's say now let's look at the project voting because this is what we now need. Please calculate the average of votes received per project for the 10 projects in our list. Okay, let's take a look. So you also see that the median amount is different from the actual funding, and that's correct. Okay, now GPT gives us or needs a clarification here. The values what's good is that GPT reports what the agents are doing, and so that we can clarify or check the information. Okay, let me go. Okay. Obviously, GPT took a slightly different approach, average number of votes on each of the top received from voters, not to average the vote values. Oh, okay, no. Let's clarify. Please use the average values. Please use the values in voting and calculate the average per project. Let's clarify this. Okay. Okay. Right. And now we can see that it gives the same 10 projects and sorts slightly differently. Nevertheless, the values look good. Okay, and now, I mean, the most interesting part in this analysis is we'd like to compare the median to the average value so that we can see the deviation. Okay, let's maybe first say, can you create a table showing the 10 projects, the median, oh no, let's say the funding received, the median, and the average. Okay, this gives us a better overview. Let's take a look. So it's sometimes convenient to summarize information that has been created in the course of a conversation with the GPT in a better overview, like in this table. And we have it again. And okay. Right. See, the GPT was not able to in the first try, assign the right values created beforehand to the right project. And it is able to understand that something has gone wrong and is able to correct it. Let's take a look. We can check maybe via check solidity. Solidity has a median of 425. So this was the median amount, solidity, oops, 425. And then we need the edge value, 808,000. And in the second column, 808,000. Looks good. Okay, now we have the right ordering, the funding received, the median, and the average votes. The average votes that obviously would have led to a different result in the funding. And now we'd like to have more of the deviation. So looking at numbers is sometimes hard to understand how the calculation would have affected these projects. Let's get a chart. Create a chart showing the comparison between median and average votes per project. Okay. All right, here's a chart, and it shows project by project how the funding deviates if we take the median votes in light green, or if we take the average votes. Or you can see that for some projects it really made a huge difference, and for others not. Now let's take a look at another use case. Now I'd like to show how you can use RetroPGF GPT as a badge holder. So let's imagine you as a badge holder want to analyze the results of round 3 after the voting and want to gain insights comparing my own votes to the overall outcome of round 3. Okay, as mentioned beforehand, we are using OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 plus some additional datasets we've provided the GPT. And this is public data available on Optimism's GitHub, voting results, the ballots or the anonymized ballots, and an additional dataset that we've added, which is a fictional badge holder and the votes per project. Okay, now let's start. Let's start with creating a dataset that shows me all the projects I voted on. Create a dataset with, yeah, let's pick only the projects I voted on. And let's give it a name to make it easier. In further discussion with GPT, let's call it my favorite projects. All right, let's go. GPT is analyzing the data sets and also my prompt, and we can actually observe this and watch this. The steps that GPT is taking at the moment, load my projects vote sheets, right? Okay, I'll close this to see what's the outcome. I've created a dataset named my favorite projects, fine, which includes the projects you voted on. There are 73 projects in this dataset, each with the project name and the amount of votes you cast for them. Perfect. That's actually what I wanted to have. Now let's continue. I guess most interesting is, okay, are there any projects in this list, any of my favorite projects that ultimately didn't receive any funding? Okay. There any projects I voted on that did not receive any funding? Okay, and again, based on my natural language request, GPT is interpreting what I want to know and then what information to process now to land at the result. And whoa, here's one project that I voted on that did not receive any funding, and it's called Crypto Testers. And I voted 5,000 on them. Okay, that's interesting. Obviously, all the rest, 72 projects received funding. That's cool to hear. Now, I'm still keen to understand how many or which projects got less than I was hoping to give them. Less than my vote. Okay. Which projects received less funding than I voted? Okay. Again, GPT is analyzing. Several projects you voted on received less funding. Okay, and now I get a list with my vote and in comparison, how much this project received. Okay, cool. That's amazing. Okay, and we even have more. Okay, can you please provide a table that includes all of them? Let's see if we can get a table to get a better overview. Okay, detailed table. And all these projects received less. And that's, of course, good for badge holders to continue the conversation with projects, with their fellow badge holders, to improve maybe evaluation criteria, and so on. Okay. And obviously, there are a number of projects, and I get the entire list. And of course, this is sometimes a little bit hard to just have in the chat. So next, I'll just ask GPT, can you please provide a CSV file to have it and to get it for download? Okay, so that I can also share it. Perfect download underfunded projects. Very well, and I can go over this list again. And now I probably also want to get a similar list for all the projects that got significantly more, or I can, let's get an overview from GPT that just shows the maximum deviation. Can you show all the projects that deviate most in terms of funding received versus my votes? Let's see if this is how GPT interprets my request and if it gets it right. Okay, here's an arrow. Seems there was an error, processing, deviation calculation, absolute value. Okay, non-numeric data. This should not be the case. Most significant deviation between the votes you cast and the funding received. Okay, right. This is now exactly what we want to have. Let's give it a moment so that you can see these projects show the largest discrepancy between the amount of funding you believed and they should receive versus what they actually received. And this is quite impressive because I don't know if you ever tried to explain an outsider who is not familiar with Optimism RetroPGF, how this voting works and how votes are collected, that you give huge numbers of votes and how this is then translated to an overall outcome and funding in Optimism. And we didn't train the language model to understand all the specifics of Optimism RetroPGF. We just provided the files, the data sets, plus a short description that doesn't say anything about any voting mechanism. And then we landed at these results. And this is quite impressive how a language model can interpret what I want to have here. Good. Now, this could also be translated into a table, okay, and can made downloadable as a CSV file. Can you provide a table? Oops, please. I'm so impressed. I now start with saying please. Okay. Write my votes, OP received, deviation. Cool. And I again. Okay, now we only have the 5 highest. That's cool. And can you create a chart showing the deviation? Let's see if we can make this work. Right, look. Okay, now we have 5 projects, largest deviation, the y-axis. Let's take a look. Y-axis lists the project names, okay, 5 projects, and x-axis shows the magnitude of deviation. Okay, that's just the first example of what I can do from a badgeholder perspective with the data available. And I hope this gives you a good impression of what GPT, how this could be valuable for RetroPGF, and how this could be a tool that enables anyone to interact with data and to take data-driven decisions using large language models. Okay, thanks for watching. And now I have a bonus take because I want to see if it can find a better mechanism to compare. Okay, to compare my votes to the overall outcome. Can we find a good metric to represent the difference? Okay, it shows 2 different approaches. And we can either say, okay, we have a percentage difference. Maybe a more straightforward way to understand, yes. And an alignment score. Okay, a normalized score ranges from 0 to 1, perfect alignment, and 0, no alignments. Okay, let's go. Please calculate both metrics for the 5 projects with largest. And let's just say 5 projects. just to see. And now it takes a moment. Top 5 projects, largest deviation, all right. Relative difference in percentage and alignment score. Nice. Okay. I think, wait, the alignment score says 1 indicates perfect alignment. Okay. Can you give me a chart showing the alignment score across a random set of 20 projects? Oh no. Yeah, 20 projects in my favorite projects list. Nice, and it's beautiful. So this is just a random set of projects and the alignment score where the value of 1 indicates perfect alignment. So my vote was very close to the final outcome and funding received, like for Guild XYZ. And 0 indicates the minimum alignment or no alignment at all, and everything in between here. So the alignment of my votes to the overall outcome for Gelato was very little, whereas for Aragon, for DeFi Llama, and also for the BlockScout Block Explorer, this was very close to my votes, to how I thought this project should be funded in the Optimism RetroPGF round 3. All right, again, just an example what is doable with GPTs. I hope you had as much fun as I had, and hope you become one of the alpha testers once we are building more prototypes for RetroPGF GPTs. Thank you.